Face the Music, a pre-ELO song-by-song podcast, is sponsored by fine people like Luis Mendoza.
This is Face the Music, a pre-ELO song-by-song podcast. Episode -065. Kilroy was here. The Move.
There's a fella roaming round the street. I think most of all I'd like to meet. I must consider him a clever lad. Make it like a young Sir Galahad. Everywhere I go I think he's been. The autographs, the balls around the sea. If you look hard enough, you'll find him there. In rooms and public places everywhere. Kilroy was here, left his name around the place. Kilroy was here, oh I've never seen his face.
What's that song all about?
Kilroy Was Here is recorded on March 23, 1967, and is the second track on The Move's first album, Move. The origins of the phrase comes from a World War II doodle left behind by American soldiers wherever they went. The Germans interpreted Kilroy as a spy who was everywhere, which was how The Move sees Kilroy here, and everywhere. Kilroy later went on to overthrow Dr. Righteous and bring rock and roll back to the masses.
I'm Eric Winsenson,
And I'm Eric Paul Johnson.
and I do not understand why you had me listen to this awful Styx album again. I mean, I know I'm going to have to listen to the whole thing when I finally decide to record it, but I was hoping to put that off for a few more years. Why?
See, I like Kilroy Was Here. Not because it's a great masterpiece of musical genius, but it is a masterpiece of early 80s cheese. It's just so dumb and awful that it's actually enjoyable in its dumbness. But we're not covering Styx this time.
We're not?
No, you listen to that whole album for no reason at all.
Wait a minute, what are we doing?
We're doing Kilroy Was Here by The Move.
Ah, crap. Give me a moment. The song is great. It reminds me, even though these would normally be buried a little bit further on a Monkees album, it reminds me of the Michael Nesmith song that would pop up on the Monkees album where they actually let somebody do something they wrote in the band, and it sounds completely different than everything else, and, well, usually one of the highlights on the album.
Well, now I got nothing to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And once again, yes, I do have a sense of humor. This is a sense of humor I like. Because that's been a long-going theme forever, is who in the hell is Kilroy? And why was he here? I'll get into that in a few moments. But there were only 2 songs in, and don't know why this album isn't talked about more. Because, yeah, this reminds me of the Michael Nesmith spots on the Monkees albums, and it has some wonderful lyrics to it, and Bev is there drumming away, getting it all out of him before he has to do 4/4 time for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
Until he goes into Sabbath.
that's pretty much it. I thought this sounds like a Mike Nesmith monkey song. I didn't love it. I like it. I think it's fine. I mean, I'm not going to be upset if I hear it again, but I'm not going to go out of my way to hear it again. So that's really about it. You kind of took everything I was going to say. It sounds like a Mike Nesmith monkey song. And then I was going to say something about the origins of Kilroy Was Here, but you're antsy to do that, so go ahead. I don't mind. I'll just sit back and
Oh,
do
you
nothing.
actually looked it up as well.
Well, I had to come up with some song facts, and I couldn't, because, track 2 on a Move album, it wasn't released as a single, so I'm not going to find any song information about it. So I had to, I don't know, let's go with the origins of Kilroy Was Here, and Lisa can talk a little bit about that for the song facts segment. But you're all ready to go with that, so you do that, because I don't mind just sitting back and doing nothing for an episode. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was a little bit curious myself because I mentioned it in a team meeting recently, and nobody knew what Kilroy Was Here was. And I was not referencing the Styx album because I don't expect them to know anything except Mr. Roboto.
Yeah.
Or Renegade. I guess the young kids like Renegade too.
Well, a different Styx album, though.
Yeah, better album. But I mentioned that and mentioned the little guy with his nose poking over the wall, and they had no idea what that was.
How does that happen?
Well, it's because I don't know. I haven't seen any creative bathroom graffiti in a long, long time. It's usually just some gang symbol.
Yeah.
Nobody even puts an upside-down pentagram on the stalls anymore. We don't even get the Crap House Poet with his famous rhymes about being broken-hearted. Didn't mention that one in the meeting. So, I had to explain what Kilroy Was Here was. Because I knew in UK it's called Chad. The little guy's called Chad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so I didn't know why it was called Chad. And I guess Chad was probably around World War I.
Mm.
And usually they had some little thing there saying something like, what, no women? With a little British spelling, W-O-T.
Yeah.
Or what, no sugar, or something like that, talking about rationing, or sometimes some other stuff that soldiers would put on there. So that was around beforehand. They think it might have been from a cartoonist, it might have been from something else. They think it may be adapted from the omega symbol for ohms, which is a resistance in electricity, because often he's portrayed early on as looking like an electrical symbol.
I hadn't thought of that, but yeah.
But when the Americans showed up in World War II, they had their little Kilroy Was Here thing, which may have come from a guy who inspected rivets during shipbuilding. To keep people from getting paid twice for doing the same rivet, instead of chalk, he used crayon, which said Kilroy Was Here. And so people started adapting that and putting it wherever they went during World War II. And somehow, at some point, Chad got involved with it as well. And so the Americans would just draw Chad and put Kilroy Was Here. But nobody really knows exactly who Kilroy was. They think that that's where it may have come from, but there's a number of other origin stories of Kilroy. And thus the song, where he's going, who the heck is Kilroy? I'm going to meet him someday. I'm going to find this person.
Yeah.
Because it used to be a thing to just randomly do it, and the thing was finding places to put the graffiti that were just not normal places that you would put it. That was the challenge.
Right.
That's what the whole song is about.
Yeah, when I looked it up, one of the things it said is that the Germans saw him as a super spy who was everywhere and could see everything. And that seems to be sort of like Roy Wood's take on Kilroy. Because he seems to be everywhere in the song, and yet Roy seems to keep missing out on seeing him, even though Kilroy is everywhere, watching everywhere.
Both Hitler and Stalin had it investigated to try and find out who this Kilroy was, because they thought it was some sort of agent and some sort of code. So they really wanted to find out who Kilroy was, just so they could keep an eye on him.
Well, if the graffiti keeps getting closer and closer to Berlin or where your headquarters are, you really should start worrying.
Got something to say about Kilroy Was Here? Then call the telephone line voicemail.
623-850-3375. Call now.
You personally can help to make sure America has an impregnable fence against invaders along all its borders by volunteering as a ground observer to watch the skies for unidentified planes. Men and women from teenage up, write or phone your nearest Civil Defense Center.
Great moments in Electric Light Orchestra history.
The recording situation with the Move was always very, how can I explain it? Unbalanced, really, I suppose would be the word. Because in the early days we had to pay our own recording costs as well. And the sort of money-minded people in the band didn't really want to do that. So consequently, that's why we didn't make so many albums in the early days. I was sort of fairly pleased with the first album that we had out, because it was the first album that I'd ever done or ever been involved in. But I think if we'd have spent a lot more time on it, the sounds could have been a lot better. And in those days, we were produced by Denny Cordell, who was he was a good producer. He produced Procol Harum and Joe Cocker and a few people. But I don't think he was that good for us. Because being the songwriter, I had a sort of set idea on how I wanted the sound to be anyway, and it ended up that he only became a sort of a middleman between me and the engineer, really, which was sort of a little bit pointless.
Doctor is in. Hey, this is Troy with my thoughts on Kilroy Was Here. Now, I don't know about you, but I think Kilroy Was Here is an underrated Styx album. I mean, sure, it's no Grand Illusion, but it's as good as Paradise Theater. Who doesn't love Mr. Roboto? Don't Let It End is a beautiful ballad. And please, tell me I'm not the only one that thinks that Haven't We Been Here Before sounds like a love song between Dennis and Tommy. I mean, really, watch the video and dare tell me I'm wrong. And J.Y. as Dr. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, man. This isn't about the Styx album. This is about the Move song, Kilroy Was Here. I don't like it all that much. It's kind of boring. But anyway, never mind.
Face the Music, a pre-ELO song-by-song podcast, is a production of Radio Trolla Entertainment, Assorted Deli Meats Amalgamated. You can contact us by voicemail at 623-850-3375 or email us at eloftmpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll read and reply to it on the show. Keep up to date by joining our Facebook group and spread the word by sharing the link or giving us a quick rating on iTunes. Subscribe to our YouTube page, the Electric Light Orchestra Podcast channel, to hear other goodies. You can financially support the podcast at patreon.com/ELOpod or PayPal using the podcast's email address, or send a check or money order to P.O. Box 1932, Superior, Arizona 85173. Next week, episode -064, Weekend.